This is the fourth day of this September 2025 7-day sesshin. For the past several days, we've been reading from Hakuin, but today we'll switch gears to a different text and a more contemporary Japanese master, Harada Tangen Roshi. Tangen Roshi was a contemporary of our very own Kaplo Roshi. They had met when Tangen Roshi was the head monk at Hoshinji Monastery, which is where Kaplo Roshi had trained for much of his 13 years in Japan. And during that time, the two of them became not just Dharma brothers, but really good friends. And years later, when Tangen Roshi was sanctioned as a teacher, which was in 1955, he was assigned to teach at another temple, Bukokuji, which is the place where Boden Roshi and a number of other Rochester Zen Center people stayed for various lengths of time. Tangen Roshi passed away in 2018, and Boden Roshi wrote a tribute to him in Zenbo that gave some background about his life. So I want to start off with reading an excerpt from that Zenbo article. Tangen Roshi's early life was marked by loss and unusual suffering. His mother, after being warned by doctors that bringing her pregnancy to term could prove fatal, did die while he was still an infant. For the rest of his life, he felt a deep indebtedness to her and a love that later evolved into a special affinity for the Bodhisattva Kanon. Kanon, or Guanyin, is the Bodhisattva of compassion, who sees and hears the cries of the world and responds to suffering. And she is often depicted as female, also having multiple arms and eyes, which symbolize her boundless compassion and also her readiness to help. From childhood on, Tangen Roshi later said, he was always very rebellious, as though in search of something. And by age 12, his search began in earnest. A deep questioning arose in him as to the essential nature of things. "There is something I feel," he said, "but I don't understand. I can sense its presence, but can't grasp it. There's something I feel, but don't understand. I can sense its presence, but can't grasp it." His feeling of separation from people and things, though not unusual in adolescence, seems to have been especially acute. But then, at the age of 18, he had a glimpse of that which is beyond suffering. During a school vacation, he climbed a small mountain alone. On the way up, consumed by self-reproach, he found himself chanting the rules of an acclaimed preparatory school, which he later surmised brought his mind to a purified state. That's a good reminder that when it comes to chanting, the words don't matter as much as how you do it. Wholeheartedly, with an undivided attention. Chanting is a form of zazen in action. So then even vocalizing preparatory school rules, as Tangen Roshi was at the time, even that, if done wholeheartedly, can have a powerful effect. And the same goes with any other kind of action, done in the same spirit. When walking, just walking. Eating, just eating. He continues. Once atop the mountain, the strong wind seemed to sweep away Tangen's feelings of worthlessness. Looking out over the Pacific Ocean, he felt himself expanding into an oceanic feeling of oneness with everything around him. It was a life-altering experience that left him feeling held and protected by a benevolent universe. It would prove instrumental in enabling him to survive the suffering yet to come. The suffering yet to come. That suffering included volunteering as a kamikaze pilot in the Japanese Air Force. During World War II, kamikaze pilots were trained to do suicide missions, deliberately crashing their airplane into Allied warships, sacrificing their lives for the nation. These planes were equipped, really loaded with bombs and fuel tanks. So they immediately explode upon impact. And Tangen Roshi completed a year of training without having yet been assigned a mission when Japan surrendered. You can only imagine what that training involved. And while he managed to not lose his life as a kamikaze pilot, when the war ended, he was captured by Russian soldiers and held as a prisoner of war. So when he returned to Japan in 1946, he was in a state of mental distress and soul-searching. A friend suggested Zazen. There's a lot more to this story, but it's easy to see why Tangen and Kapleau Roshi immediately formed a close connection when they met. Both had experienced war-related ordeals. And in Kapleau Roshi's case, it was serving as chief court reporter in the Nuremberg and Tokyo war crime trials, having to listen and record atrocities beyond imagination. The book that I'm going to read from came out just last year on the occasion of Tangen Roshi's, or what would have been Tangen Roshi's 100th birthday. And it's titled Ichi Tante, One Doing. It's a collection of over 100 excerpts from his teishos, which were given across nearly 60 years of teaching. And this collection's translated by Belinda Adaway Yamakawa and edited by Ron Klein. Ichi Tante, One Doing. So I'll jump right into the first excerpt, which happens to be a fitting allegory for Sesshin. It's titled, A Little Buttercup Breaks Through. He begins, There is a stone out in front of the temple. In front of that, there is thick asphalt. From under the asphalt, the stem of a little buttercup breaks through, grows up, and blooms. The scene outside of Bukokuji actually sounds like it could be at Chapin Mill. We have a large boulder in front of the main entrance, and it's inches away from the road that's made of asphalt and crushed stone. And it's not unusual to come upon a dandelion or a little clump of grass bursting up through the road, through the asphalt and stone. Tangen Roshi goes on, looking at the little flower there, I couldn't help but cry. Where did you get such power? So straightforward. The tips of the little leaves first peeped out of the asphalt, but not giving into the weight of the asphalt above them, not giving into any obstacle. They burst right up and stretched. There was no hint of haughtiness. No, I came up through the asphalt. Not a trace of self. Not a trace of ambition or achievement. Just doing what buttercups do. Where does this power come from? The pretty little buttercup's efforts, its power, where does it come from? Is it holding back, saying, I can't do it. I just can't do it? Does it cater to any sort of discriminating notions? Just earnestly, it is obediently receiving all that there is to receive. Receiving all that there is to receive. Whatever the conditions. Without grasping it, without grasping for it to be different than how it is. So that means receiving pain just as much as receiving joy, with equal mind. And without identifying it as my pain or my joy. Instead, just pain, just joy, or even better, just. we try to hold on to anything that we experience by putting a name on it, conceptualizing it, dwelling on it, we're not purely receiving it as it is. It's all filtered through thoughts. Tangen Roshi says, I've heard this before. I've been living here, dependent on you and accepting your kindness. But I can't guarantee what I'll do when I leave here. This is as far as I can go. What can you call this but stinginess? Give it up. None of these limits have been imposed. You don't have to be stingy. It's not in your nature, really. Dayun Roshi always said that the earth is a little dirt dumpling. How far is there to go? How far can I get? Imagining limits. Imagining benchmarks. Putting a box around it. And as for this earth being a little dirt dumpling, that gives us some perspective. If the earth is like a little dirt dumpling floating around in vast space, what does that make you and I? The teeniest, tiniest little speck. Don't be stingy when it comes to what is possible. He continues, of course it doesn't stop there. It's all the great, great universe, limitless. Right here, you are receiving it. The buttercup doesn't discriminate, doesn't theorize about the world and then rely on self-created theories. There is no holding back, no arrogance, just the limitless all. But don't get hung up on notions of wide or vast. Your notions of wide or vast are compared to something you think isn't wide or vast. It is so much more. The largest is the smallest too. Here limitations have no place. Comparisons have no place. Whether it's comparing yourself to other people, thinking about how you measure up, or comparing yourself as you are right now to some past self. Perhaps the one from this morning or yesterday, or the one from the last sesshin, or 5 sessions ago. Setting limits. Drop all of that. Then Tangen Roshi says about the flower breaking through the asphalt. I asked somebody to photograph it. I made copies and gave them to people practicing here. And I asked them to look at this one soft, pretty buttercup when things get rough. Where is there any selfishness? Where is there any discouragement? Do you have time to get discouraged, to look away from your practice? Let cleanly go of your stinginess. Let go of your picking and choosing. Go of your conceptualizing and intellectualizing. Receive. Just receive all there is to receive. Cleanly, purely, without making any exceptions. He says, you can awaken to life in which everything is revered because you have this power of the buttercup. The time will come when the self reveres itself. Just this life, beginningless past, beginningless beginning. We have to revere this one little buttercup. Shining in the sunshine, it is truly noble, selfless. I talk about a buttercup, but I'm talking about everything. The universe. Now is the time to decide, once and for all, without holding back, just to do it. Just to do this one doing. Decide that this one doing is all there is. This one doing, your one doing is everything. This one inhalation right now, everything. This one exhalation, whatever we're doing, just this one. Not a past or future one. This. The next excerpt is called The Lesson of the Tree. A great tree fell in a landslide here in the hills. It had been there for hundreds of years. That had never happened before. The roots were still deep in the ground after it fell. We tried to pull out its roots, but there was no way. So we had to take a chainsaw and cut through it. The roots are the origin of everything. That came through to me loud and clear. The lesson of the tree. Great roots, Buddha nature, you, yourself, your true self. Everything is just Buddha nature itself, the source of peace of mind. It can't be shaken. It can't be grabbed from us by circumstances. Our true life is this. And it is eternal, original Buddha nature. Set your mind on this. The roots that run deep. The ground of who we are. The ground of reality. Eternal, changeless. Nothing disturbs it. We've got to dig down below. To see these roots. See what they're made of. And then there are the branches. Branches sway in the wind. They form buds that transform into flowers and pine cones, changing throughout the seasons. eventually falling to the ground, withering away, returning to the root. These are two sides of our true nature, and they're inseparable. The roots receive nutrients from the branches, and the branches receive nutrients from the roots. Tangen Roshi says, of course, great roots don't just pop up out in front of your face. Roots this great, first principle, run deep through and through. Just grasping the branches and the flowers, that's not making this true whole step. Just grasping at the branches and deciding, well, everything is Buddha nature. I accept and feel really comfortable with it. So, there is really no need to practice, is there? It's very easy for even the sincerest practitioner to fall into this. This kind of arrogance is like the roots breaking out of the soil to rot. Of course, true life is unbridgeable, but you aren't allowing it to grow up. It doesn't stretch out and up with every energy by itself. You have to practice it. The roots of great faith, the reality of Buddha nature. You have to practice it. This reminds me of Hakuin's warnings about practicing with a apathetic or complacent attitude. Just coasting along without exerting the effort and energy that's needed for our practice to really mature and ripen. Instead, just settling for comfort, contentment. Not willing to try something new, not willing to take a risk. Not willing to go deeper. Feels good for a while, but when that contentment fades, that familiar sense of dissatisfaction returns. Don't be stingy. Don't set limitations on yourself nor your practice. This next one is called, You Are Not a Wet Noodle. True self, the real self, full of life. You are vivid. You are not a wet noodle. A wet noodle is limp, floppy, sticky. It's a metaphor that is often used to refer to one who is lacking something in some way, lacking energy, lacking vitality. This doesn't describe anyone here, anyone in this sesshin, in this zendo, nor in the online zendo. What we're doing involves courage and determination. Tangen Roshi says, again, you are not a wet noodle. You don't have to worry where there is no call for worry. And where worry is called for, it's a through and through, absolute, thoroughgoing worry. You are worry itself. Meaning, whatever it is, whatever you're experiencing, whatever arises, just that. So if it's worrying, just worrying, without clinging, without pushing it away, without identifying it, making it personal, making it into a big drama all about you and your worries, your problems. But instead, just letting that feeling arise and pass on its own without latching onto it. And that's how we need to work with any feeling that arises. In this second half of sesshin that we've just entered into, you might be feeling lighter, having periods of greater energy. You might feel more relaxed as the tension in your muscles and in your mind have relaxed. It's not 24/7 kind of thing. Everything comes and goes. But chances are, whether you realize it or not, or whether you notice it or not, things have really settled. Don't get duped by appearances. Don't get duped by thoughts that tell you otherwise. And it can be the especially pleasant feelings that can really trip you up when it does feel good, because that's where there's the potential to kick back and coast or to grasp for more of it, to try to stay in that place. And of course you can't. Everything's changing. Don't hold on to anything. When we hold on to any thought, feeling, sensation, whatever it is, it's like getting caught in a traffic jam. Only instead of a pileup of cars, it's a pileup of thoughts. If you get impatient or angry, start honking your horn. Does that make the traffic move? Try something different. Stay right where you are, on the road. Stay in your lane. Take a look and see what's there. Right there. Not what's coming ahead and not what's behind you. Right here. Get curious about it. There's so much to receive. That's right here. No need to get impatient. Tangen Roshi says, you are grasping at an idea of self that is about the size of the shit of a flea. And you are taking that smallness to be you. And then you are trying to hold on to and protect the little self, worrying and gnashing over it. What should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And working yourself up into an unbearable anxiety or depression. What should I do? Where should I go? Do this or do that? Indecisiveness, unable to act. Each one of us has experienced moments like this in our life many times. Some of us experience it on a habitual basis, constantly evaluating and re-evaluating, questioning, doubting. Not big doubt, but little doubt, doubting oneself, double guessing oneself. It might be over the most trivial little thing. Should I eat a banana or an apple? No, wait, maybe I'll have an orange. Should I sit extra during the next break period? Or should I take a nap? But if I sit extra, I might get tired later. What's going on underneath all that indecisiveness is the desire to be in control, the desire to engineer your sesshin, just as you want to engineer your life to make it just so. And this is how we get stuck. Tangen Roshi says, "What a waste! What a waste! You didn't come by this hard-to-come-by human body for the purpose of being miserable this way. I urge you to somehow open your eyes. You haven't yet awakened to what is important. Are you still not ready to get serious about this? Are you still not ready to get serious for the universe, for the benefit of all beings? Everything around you is urging you. Everything is saying, hey, we're waiting for you." Listen. Look. Receive it. Receive it all. Stop here and recite the 4 vows.